Civil War is a conflict that has its roots in the American mind. It's really the thoughts of Americans that help bring on that war. The 19th century is nothing but a century of Americans thinking and finding new ways of thinking. It really centers around the Second Great Awakening, that religious revival movement that burns across the early part of the 19th century. As Americans find new religions, Quakers, Shakers, and folks like the Oneida community start cropping up across America. They're finding leisure time because of new technologies. And those new technologies and that new leisure time means that they start thinking about morality. The morality they're thinking of really is the definition of liberty. The definition of liberty and what an individual can do, what is sinful and what is not. There's three social movements that are born out of that Second Great Awakening. You've got temperance, you've got suffrage, and then, of course, you have abolition. And abolition is what's going to start fueling this war. As across the 1840s and 50s, Americans start coming together to decide whether or not slavery is just. They're asking the tough questions. They're coming together as societies, and they're agitating for change. Former slaves are agitating for change, and suddenly this question of slavery becomes a break point for Americans. Until all of a sudden, in 1850, it comes to a head. Americans are arguing over how new states should enter the Union. Should they be free or slave? And suddenly, a compromise needs to be made. And that happens. Compromise of 1850. One of the challenging parts of that compromise is that Fugitive Slave Act. Northerners take umbrage at it. They see it as forcing them to help out with the institution of slavery, even if they feel that it is unjust and immoral. They have to return a slave, even if they don't agree. Some northern states even threatened to leave the Union over that very question, but war is abated for at least a decade. And then, in 1860, the Republican Party, that new nascent party, formed over this question of slavery, fields Abraham Lincoln as their presidential candidate. And that's just too much. He's an outspoken advocate of abolition. In the 1858 debates in Illinois against Douglas, he spoke again and again how slavery was wrong. When he's elected president, the South sees what's coming. Starting with South Carolina, the dominoes start falling, and states start seceding, and fracture points start forming across the American landscape. One of those is this one right behind me, the Potomac River. It's a fracture point between the United States and this new nation, trying to form itself. Over 4 bloody years, it's going to try to eke out an existence and then finally fail. America still lives with the legacy of the American mind that burned across the 19th century and helped ignite the Civil War.